The Clerk's Tale, Part 5. Meanwhile, according to his cruel bent, the Marquis sought to test his wife yet more, and by uttermost experiment to prove her spirit to the very core, whether she still were steadfast as before. And so in open audience one day, and in blustering voice, he chose to say, "It was agreeable enough, forsooth, to marry you, Griselda, in the flower of your obedient love and simplest truth, and not for lineage, or for worldly dower. But now I know, in very truth and power, if one reflects, is nothing much to praise. It is servitude in many ways. I may not do as any ploughman may. My subjects are constraining me to take another wife. They clamor day by day. Even the Pope has thought it fit to slake their rancor by consenting. You need make no doubt of that. Indeed, I have to say my second wife is now upon her way. Strengthen your heart to give her up your place. As for the dowry that you brought of old, take it again. I grant it as a grace. Go home, rejoin your father in his fold. No one can count upon his luck to hold, and I enjoin you to endure the smart of fortune's buffets with an even heart." She answered patiently, without pretense, "My lord, I know, as I have always done, that set against your high magnificence, my poverty makes no comparison. It cannot be denied, and I, for one, was never worthy, never in my life, to be your chambermaid, much less your wife. And in this house, whose lady you have made me, and as God's my witness, whom I love and fear, and as his power may gladden me and aid me, I never thought myself the mistress here, rather a servant, humble and sincere, to your high honor, so I shall think forever of you, above all creatures whatsoever. That you so long of your benignity have held me high in honor and display, whereas I was not worthy so to be, I thank my God and you, and now I pray, revoke it, for there is no more to say. Gladly I seek my father, and will live my life with him, whatever life may give. For I was fostered there when I was small, only a child, and there I'll live and die, a widow, clean in body, heart and all. I gave my maidenhood to you, and I am still your faithful wife. I do not lie, and God forbid a wife to one so great should take another man to be her mate. Touching your second wife, may God in grace grant you both joy and long prosperity, for I will gladly yield her up my place, that once was such a happiness to me. But since it pleases you, my lord, she said, in whom was formerly my whole heart's rest, then I will go when you shall think it best. But, as you proffer me what first I brought, such dowry as I had, it's in my mind, it was my wretched clothing, and worth naught, and would indeed be hard for me to find. Oh, blessed God, how noble and how kind you seemed in speech, in countenance, in carriage, that day, the day on which we made our marriage. It's truly said, at least I find it true, for the effect of it is proved in me. A love grown old is not the love once new, and yet, whatever the adversity, though it were death, my lord, it cannot be. For ever I should repent, though I depart, for having wholly given you my heart. My lord, you know that in my father's place you stripped me of my rags, and in their stead gave me rich garments as an act of grace. I brought you nothing else, it may be said, but faith and nakedness and maidenhood. Here I return your garments, and restore my wedding ring as well for evermore. And the remainder of the gems you lent are in your chamber, I can safely say. Naked out of my father's house I went, and naked I return today. Gladly I'll do your pleasure, if I may, but yet I hope you will not make a mock of me, or send me forth without a smock. So infamous a thing you could not do, as let the womb in which your children lay be seen in nakedness, bare to the view of all your people. Let me not, I pray, go naked as a worm upon the way. Bethink yourself, my own dear lord, because I was your wife, unworthy though I was. Therefore, in guerdon of my maidenhood which hither brought returns with me no more. Vouchsafe a payment. Give to me instead just a simple smock as once I wore, to hide the womb of one that heretofore has been your wife, and here at last I leave you, and bid farewell, dear lord, lest I should grieve you. This smock, he said, you have upon your back, you may retain. Remove it to your stall. Yet, as he spoke, his voice began to crack for pity, and he turned and left the hall. She stripped her garments in the sight of all, and in her smock, head bare and feet unshod, home to her father and his house she trod. Folk followed weeping when she passed them by. They rallied on fate for all that had occurred. Her eyes withheld their weeping and were dry, and at this time she did not speak a word. The news soon reached her father. When he heard, he cursed the day and hour of his birth that fashioned him a man to live on earth. He never doubted it, though so old and poor, had ever been suspicious of the match. He always thought it never could endure, in that the Marquis, having had the snatch of his desires, would feel disgrace attach to his entire, or to his estate, in such a low alliance, and when he could, would set it at defiance. At her approach he hastened forth to meet her, led by the sound of many a beholder, that wept to see her pass, and he to greet her, brought her old cloak and cast it on her shoulder, and wept. It fitted not, for it was older by many a day than was her wedding dress. The cloth was coarsely woven, comfortless. Thus with her father for a certain space this flower of love and wifely patience stayed. Never a word or look upon her face, in front of others or alone conveyed a hint that she had suffered or betrayed any remembrance of her former glory. Her countenance told nothing of her story, and that's no wonder in her high estate. Her spirit had a full humility, no tender mouth for food, no delicate heart's hungering after royal brilliancy or show of pomp, benignly, patiently. She had lived wise in honor, void of pride, meek and unchanging at her husband's side. They spoke of Job and his humility, for clerics, when they wish to, can indite its praises nobly, and especially in men. They praise few women when they write, yet none can reach a humbleness as white as women can, nor can be half so true as women are, or else it's something new.